But yeah.
Okay, so take it away.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, this project's been kind of something I've been thinking about for quite some time, but it's nice to get some funding, and I have a research assistant to prototype chatbots. That's pretty much what it is. I didn't want to talk about my background too much, but I have kind of an interesting background because I've studied in a number of different universities. I've studied at University of Alberta, UVic here, UBC, BCIT, University of Saskatchewan, University of Waterloo, Toronto University, Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, and also the University of Tokyo. So I have a long history of studying and working at universities. And I'm currently in School of Health Information Science as a assistant teaching prof. And I've been involved with that school since 2009. So it's an interesting HSD. I also worked with School of Nursing for a bit too, as well as a coordinator back in 2009. So yeah. The project I have Simon Minshall, who's also the same role as me in School of Health Information Science, and also Professor Abdul Razari, who's a 10-year professor, has been working with clinical decision support tools for a while. One of the things about this chatbot is the programs. There's 7 programs, which is pretty unique on campus, I think, for different faculties, and all ranging in different sort of variety of program needs or requirements or their domains and all this other stuff. So I'm not an expert in any of these programs, really. I'm just in the health information science, but we have child and youth care, indigenous governance, social work, nursing, public admin, public health and social policy. I did have a little job with public health, PHAC, Public Health Agency of Canada in Ottawa for a year, but anyways. The goal is to develop an expert system based on simplified questions that are kind of structured in sequence and kind of stratified from A to B. And it's really about the young generations, like maybe someone from high school or someone wanting to get in the program that's just new to the university. That's the mindset. And so, the questions of how do I enroll? What's the program about? Can I transfer? Those kind of questions. It sounds basic, but there is a definite sequence, and I'm going to be chatting with a different program at HSD soon. Meaningful interactions of conditional logic via decision trees. So it's kind of like a top-down. This is from VisiRule, the company I'm working with from UK. They've been at it for 40 plus years. They were part of the hype of expert systems and business intelligence in the 80s, and they're still the same people that are working there. There's a few new ones, but anyways, and some developer that I work with. So there's kind of the top down, the start point, and then it sort of branches out, right? So you can even draw it. You don't have to have a software. But still, those meaningful sort of interactions from A to B, and it could be like yes or no, kind of binary responses, or some sort of canned response saying, yes, you need these requirements to enroll in this program, or this is what public health, and social and policy is all about, or health information science or nursing. The information from the websites I've been using, so I'm going to be interviewing people from the programs directors, or I'm going to talk to Maureen about that. So I'm gathering the information with my research assistant, which most of the funding I'm getting from is with Chanhee Kim, Ms. Chanhee Kim, who's an undergraduate student. And so we're building up some information from the websites, creating questions, and having a certain structure of the sequences, and then I talk to the vendor about it. There's 3 chatbots per program. That's my goal. 3 to 5 questions again. One is about the actual enrollment of the program. I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it, but how many requirements, what percentage you need, GPA, stuff like this, right? I don't want, we don't want to, especially if someone from high school, want to kind of give them a way to interact with the program or be on the websites longer, really. That's really about the chatbot. So then you have the domain and study area, which I've kind of separated a bit. And with these decision trees, you can merge them. So you can have a program and domain area in the same sort of, interface. And then, which is kind of the hybrid approach. That's my end goal. Can respond. I'm going to get to ChatGPT in a sec, because you're probably thinking, well, why don't just use ChatGPT instead of this? So that's a good question. I mean, it's a pretty awesome thing to use, tool to use. at this point in time. Canned responses with buttons was kind of cool because it can, it can promote people to click around in the, and then, hey, I can actually ask this question. So sometimes the younger generations, or myself included, is free text. I'm not too sure what kind of question to ask or where this is going. So that's a good kind of flow. And then linkages to departments and contacts as well. And then with the vendor, they have GPT-3, which is a paid product that's kind of came out before ChatGPT. And now there's there's GPT-4. And so they have free text that they can kind of type in. One, I don't want to take too much time, but one basic kind of questions is academic concession. How to apply for this, where are the links, how does it work with, across the schools, fees and these kind of things. And that it's something you can use for ChatGPT, and I'll show you some of that to give you the answer what an academic concession is, and you can actually type in academic concession UVic and get response how UVic defines academic concession in that free sort of chatbot. And in my chatbot, or the chatbot I'm developing with the schools, is to sort of create a sequence of maybe figuring out what kind of questions could come up for this across the schools or with that school, et cetera. Here's VisiRule. They have member industries, medical expert systems, have been working with it a number of years, physicians, they talking to the vendor. Some people, their loved ones or something passed away, and they're into the IT, and they contact them, and hey, I'd like to do a chatbot about something related to that. I did a COVID-19 chatbot with them, and started one in 2020, and I published some papers from that. And they have about 900 users they can track using my COVID chatbot with that vendor across multiple countries. Another thing to sort of, before I get into ChatGPT, is there is this org, chatbots.org. This is a Canadian one, but there's an international. You go to the initial site, and you can go across different countries. And they list out 24 chatbots in Canada. So you can see different countries here: UK, United States, Poland, Netherlands, France, and they have 281 in US, different chatbots they list here. It's pretty cool. It gives you an idea of the variety of them out there. So this is Chinese, some of Chani Kim's work. She typed in, can you make a list of universities in Canada that are using chatbots? Because I use Google and stuff, and I can't find a list somewhere. And sure enough, ChatGPT has a list. And I was curious to see, do they have chatbots on their main site, or are they in programs, or how does it work with different universities? And I'm just kind of in the middle of, I'm just starting it really, to be honest, but just kind of in the middle of trying to document some of this stuff. So there's it's changed its name now, Ryerson University, but they have a RU 24/7 chatbot. University of Waterloo, it's called a Watson, so IBM product. UBC has Ask Me chatbot. U of T has Quirkus chatbot. York University, Connect, McMaster University, Mac Ask. U of A, Ask Augustana. I've gone through a few of them. Some of them are kind of, they're just basic, start up the site. This one here is from Trinity Western. It does have a chatbot. It's their main page, which you can see is not listed in ChatGPT, so ChatGPT doesn't have all the answers, so you have to kind of look it up a little bit more. But still, it was nice to get a list right away compared to some of the other stuff we were trying to find out. It was a quick, and then on this site, this chatbot here is in the lower corner, which is pretty standard in the interface, and then they just click in there and it asks about programs and stuff like that. Most of the chatbots that I've seen is not like something that I'm planning with HSD. It's not specific to the programs. It's more about the whole overall university. So this is an academic concession for, again, ChatGPT, GPT-3, and GPT-4 came out last month. And then I think Elon Musk even said, pause, we don't want any more of this chatbots coming out or something. So anyways, I think he's still kind of bitter about Twitter or something. Who knows? Sorry, don't want to geek out on that too much, but still, interesting character. So if I just type in academic concession, that's DC, that's me, and then it gives me, just starts typing away. If you haven't used ChatGPT, I don't know, how many people have used ChatGPT? Oh yeah, quite a few. So when you're clicking in there, it just kind of starts typing away. It's kind of cool that way. It's not just it shows up, it's just sort of flowing a bit. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've seen some studies on some papers coming out soon on self-diagnosing, to be careful with that on using ChatGPT. So I don't want to say that, to talk about it too much. Anyways, so academic concessions, refers to a formal arrangement of accommodation made by educational institutions, and UVic has on their site the list of them. It's across the board, across the faculties, etc. If you type in academic concession UVic, you'll get a slightly different response, which is interesting. And also ChatGPT, there's a hold on it's 2021 is the last update, so it's not actually pulling in new information, so it should be pretty static over time, which is kind of what my goal of the chatbots as well for the HSD is to have them kind of bringing in that information and having that stability, so maybe the students can come back to it, or people interested in the program can come back to it and look at the information again as well, rather than being kind of confusing and changing over time. One of I don't know if it's possible, but this part of the write-up for this research grant to develop these chatbots is kind of testing them, and because I'm prototyping them, there's another process of actually implementing them. I talked to Stephanie a little bit about this with the web services that we have at UVic, web services team, or the IT team. So there's a certain process. Faculty of Law apparently went through this as well, but they don't have a chatbot on their site right now, so I'm not too sure what happened with that. I'm going to be chatting with them. I'm curious. But so just testing it for now, and so I'll have on my laptop or a browser, clicking through there with different people, undergraduate students. I'll probably start, recruiting them in September is my goal, to have this tested out. Part of the testing, and I would like to publish a paper with the program, the people in HSD, is there's some different theories, and one of them is unified theory of acceptance and use of technology. It sounds very formal, but there's different ways of understanding how the use of those chatbots and the sequences that they're being used, or even the browser itself and the sequences that's being used. It depends on the person's attitudes or behaviors or something they're interested in, curiosities, all these kind of things, and I can start scoring them and understanding what kind of people have been clicking on these, what's their backgrounds a little bit, what to expect in the future, how to predict maybe even the use of the chatbots, and also the enrollment maybe, which was really the goal of this, is to promote enrollment, to get more people involved in signing up and getting into these programs at HSD. And this study came out of UK. It's understanding student acceptance and use of chatbots in UK universities, which is bang on exactly what I'm working with. And then you have sort of these different blocks. It could be actually a formula here, but the blocks, there's this structured equations, which has been around since the 80s, and a way of building them, and it could be even a regression or coefficients linking these, or weights on these arrows going towards the use of the actual chatbot. I think that's about it. Thanks very much.